Tshisevhe breakfast.
Ladies and gentlemen, wow.
Please welcome
Mr. Peter Tshisevhe! Welcome, 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 welcome!
Oh, great energy in the studio. Good morning, Peter. How are you doing today?
Good morning to you and good morning to the listeners. I'm doing very well, thank you.
You're a pioneer of law, starting back as early as 1996, 1997. You're already working in the Wits Law Clinic.
Yes.
You know, after graduating, after finishing your degree. You know, why did you want to get into law?
I was invited into law by the politics of the day. You remember that not so long ago we were part of the apartheid regime that somehow discriminated against black people, and as such there were certain things that we could not enjoy. There was separate development and they promoted, among others, tribalism. But the injustice that was perpetuated around the area I grew up just invited me to study law because I was curious to understand what makes other people think they're better than the rest of us. When I first came to Joburg, to further my studies and work, I found myself living in a shack, and I've never lived in a shack before. And I had a misconception of urban life because I used to see my brother coming home looking nice. During those days, they used to perm their hair, and he would be dressed nicely and with a permed hair, and I somehow got this incorrect impression that he's living in paradise. Until I came to live with him and I realized that it looks like things are more difficult here in Joburg than they were in Venda. And that actually inspired me to say, I don't think that is the life I want to live. And I don't think that is the future I want to offer to my children. And I knew that my only weapon out of this thing is through education, and I thank God that I believe that I've got some reasonable intellect, and I paid attention to my studies, worked extremely hard.
For a young person that wants to get into law, what is the starting salary? Like, how much can a young person after graduating, how much can
straight
they
to
make?
Malini.
Yeah, because that's what the young people, how much can one make? Like, let's say your first or second year in as a practicing attorney or as a lawyer, or how much is one looking to?
The salaries varies depending on the firm you work for. Big firms pay very good salaries by virtue of what we do, because we compete with big firms on some major work. We are forced to try and compete with them, but we can't keep up. They've got deep pockets. But what I would like to caution young people in particular is that law is not really about money. If it was about money, I wouldn't have taken the journey that I've taken. Because where I used to work and was a senior director, I used to make lots and lots of money. But I felt there's a need for a strong black firm that is able to deliver value at the highest level on highly complex matters and sort of balance the scales of justice.
Let's say, for instance, I've got an opportunity to, this is a hypothetical example. Say I own a company.
Yes.
I want to work with and then another company invites me for an opportunity to buy shares into their company. But I do not have money to buy those shares with money. But the company that I own is worth a certain amount of money. Is it possible to do what, I don't know what it's called in legal language, to do a reverse share swap with one of their shareholders? One of the shareholders is, say, maybe I want to relinquish a certain percentage of my business and get a certain percentage of that business without any money exchanging hands. Is that possible? And how do you broker different deals differently? What are the options?
And it's a good question, Tshisevhe. There are various ways of doing that. One of the most effective way will be to collapse your company into that other company, depending on which company is bigger, by actually you selling your business into that company in exchange for obtaining shares.
So one of the options could be for me to collapse my company?
Yeah, and that will entail selling your shares.
Okay.
From yourself
Yes.
to that company, and in exchange to you getting shares in the other company. So,
But what if I do not want to collapse my company? I want it to exist,
Yeah.
but I just want to dilute myself. I've got other shareholders who are my partners in this business, in my business, say whatever business it is.
Yes.
But I want to just dilute a certain part of my shares and
Yes.
give that company a minority stake. But I also want some shares, and they are willing to give me some shares.
you can do that, and that's basically what I'm trying to explain.
Oh, okay, sorry.
How you can do it is you'll have to get your shareholders to waive their right of preemption to your shares because you're a private company, and then you can sell that portion of the shares that you want to give to that other company. And instead of that company giving you shares, giving you cash, they can give you an equivalent of shares. So you will need to do a valuation of your shares and the valuation of the stake that you want to acquire in that other company. So you can
Okay.
do something like a share swap of some sort. One of the things that I see to be a challenge in business, particularly for black people, having regard to our said historical past, is that our people work on leap of faith. When it comes to legal issues, it doesn't work that way. The buddy thing doesn't work in business.
Yes.
You need to put legal agreements in
I've
place.
learned the hard way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not only that, it's agreements that talk to what you require. Because many people will say, I've got a lawyer, he helps me, and you look at the document, it's not worth the paper it's written on. Wow. It's important that you go and speak to a specialist in whatever you do, because there are tax, there are company law, there are competition law, there are regulatory issues involved in this kind of issues. And when, like for example, let's say there are 3 shareholders in a company. You sell your shares to someone else without having requested your shareholders to waive their right of preemption. They don't need to do anything. They can just wait for the time the company has made massive profits. When you say, I've sold the shares to so and so, they said, but no, you never got our right, our waiver of the right of preemption. The shares still belong to us. So, and at that point, the value may be much higher. And those are kind of technical issues that black business people need to know. And that's the reason why we went out to set up TGR, to try and balance the scales. And one of the issues that I think is pressing in the country is fronting, and I want to talk about this because it's sort of eroding the gains of democracy.
Yeah.
Because it has become so sophisticated in the way it's being implemented. Gone are the days where people are using domestic workers and garden boys as shareholders or phantom shareholders in transactions.
Yes.
Now it's become sophisticated where you are a CEO or a CFO but with no power. You work for this massive company, but you cannot even take a decision to buy a pen, yet you are the CEO, whatever they call you. It's happening often. I understand that you learn with time, but we cannot remain perpetual learners as black people to get to a point where we are able to deliver. And I must say that it takes 2 to tango, because our own people are participating in those kind of disempowering schemes.